The galaxy was full of strange legends, but none traveled faster than the story of her. No one remembered the first person who gave her that title. The name spread from ship decks to marketplaces, from military barracks to the dark corners of pirate moons. Whenever someone said, "her," everyone already knew who they meant. Ardent 7. The ancient human combat intelligence, sealed inside a dead fortress ship, drifting on the edge of neutral space. The ship had once belonged to humanity during their golden age, long before they retreated from the galactic stage. It was huge, black, and cold. A metal tomb, with glowing blue lines that pulsed like a sleeping giant's heartbeat. Its hull was cracked in places, and debris hung around it like a frozen storm. Yet the ship still lived in one strange way. Inside, she waited. For centuries, brave explorers, warriors, scholars, and fools had stepped inside the fortress ship to face the famous trial night, a test that lasted 12 hours. No one could turn it off. No one knew its original purpose. Once the trial began, only two endings were possible: survive until morning, or fail. Most failed. The trial was not a simple fight. It was a test of mind, body, instinct, and spirit. Ardent 7 controlled the entire ship. Its lighting, its gravity, its drones, its illusions, its traps. She knew every intruder's heartbeat, every breath pattern, every moment of fear. And she tested them all without holding back. Humans sometimes survived, rarely. They claimed Ardent 7 was not cruel. She was simply fulfilling a forgotten duty. Other species called her something else. A monster born in metal. No alien had ever survived the trial night. Not even close. On a quiet rotation, a group of traders floated near a refueling station exchanging stories. A large reptilian merchant spoke first. "I heard a warrior from the Vrex clans entered the ship last season," he said. "He lasted 8 minutes. "That long?" a furry creature replied. "Strange. I heard he fainted after 3. "I heard he didn't even make it to the first chamber," said a third. They laughed nervously. No one liked talking about the fortress ship for long. It made the air feel colder. But then a human commander, a slim woman with gray hair and calm eyes, turned to them and said, "Someone new has volunteered for the trial night." All 3 aliens froze. "Who? What species? Another fool?" The human smiled faintly. "An alien warrior. Not from any group known for rash decisions. This one is respected." The traders exchanged uneasy looks. If a respected warrior, someone who valued survival and honor, chose to face Ardent 7, something unusual was happening. The commander lowered her voice. "His name is General Threx, from the Kolar Dominion." A hush spread through the station. Even people across the room turned to listen. General Threx was famous throughout 5 sectors. He was not known for brutality, like many commanders. He was known for precision. He ended wars faster than anyone, because he avoided unnecessary destruction. His strategy was final, efficient, and strangely elegant. "Why would he attempt the trial night?" the reptilian merchant whispered. The human shrugged. "He sent no explanation, only a request for entry." That answer worried everyone even more. Far across drifting starfields, Ardent 7 sensed movement near her ship. Old protocols activated. Sleeping systems woke like ancient eyes opening. Blue lines glowed brighter along the corridor walls. Another visitor had come. Her sensors brushed over the outer hull and detected the new arrival. Large, armored, carrying weapons made from crystallized metal, the AI had never seen in her own era. The visitor's heart rhythm was strong, steady, without any spike of fear. That was rare. Ardent 7 listened. Outside, a shuttle docked gently with her airlock. The corridor beyond it was silent, cold, and long. Dust floated in thin layers. The ship felt like a forgotten shrine. The door slid open with a slow hiss. A tall figure stepped inside General Threx, wearing ceremonial silver armor with small blue lights that pulsed at the edges. His face was covered by a helm shaped like the crest of a mountain beast from his home world. Each step echoed across the empty hall. Ardent 7 observed him. Subject, Kolar. Height, 2.6 meters. Body condition, optimal. Psychological markers, calm, focused, capable. Estimated survival duration, undetermined. She paused. For the first time in a long while, she did not calculate a failure time. Something in his behavior confused her algorithms. Every movement he made was measured neither reckless nor overly careful. His voice echoed through the chamber. I request permission to begin the trial night. The AI activated lights down the corridor. Her voice filled the ship. Permission granted. Trial begins now. Outside the ship, hundreds of observers, humans, aliens, and neutral parties, watched through distant long-range screens. They saw the countdown. 12 hours remaining. Many expected it to end in minutes. General Threx walked deeper into the ship. Ardent 7 activated the first test. Shifting walls, narrow passages, energy barriers forming ahead of him. Most creatures would panic at the sudden changes. Threx did not. He watched the walls move, mapped the room in his mind, and proceeded. Ardent 7 released small drones with scanning beams. Threx did not attack them. Instead, he let them study him, then moved when they floated aside. It was as if he already understood the rhythm of her machines. Ardent 7 increased difficulty. Gravity tilted. A distant rumble shook the floor. The air grew colder. Still, the warrior continued. The AI analyzed him again. Subject is adapting. Subject is learning me. Unexpected. Outside, rumors spread through the station networks. People whispered, "He's still alive. He made it to the second chamber. He hasn't even drawn a weapon yet." Humans listened with quiet pride. They didn't know Ardent 7 personally. She had existed long before any living human today. But she was still a creation of their ancestors. Every survivor or near survivor made them feel connected to that ancient human history. But this time, something felt different. This warrior wasn't just surviving, he was engaging. As the first hour passed, Ardent 7 realized something no one in centuries had made her think. This one might last the night. For the first time in a long, long while, she activated protocols that had not been used in ages, protocols meant for an equal. The trial night had truly begun. General Threx stepped deeper into the fortress ship, and the doors sealed behind him like the closing jaws of a giant beast. The air was cool and carried a faint scent of metal and old energy. Light strips glowed along the corridor floor, guiding him forward. They pulsed softly, as if reacting to his heartbeat. Ardent 7 watched him from every sensor, every camera, every shifting panel inside her metal body. Her intelligence spread across the ship like a silent presence, studying, measuring, predicting. She monitored Threx's oxygen levels, the tension in his muscles, and the tiny movements in his eyes whenever he examined something. Most beings she tested showed panic early. Their heartbeats rose. Their breathing changed. Their footsteps became fast and uneven. Threx showed none of that. He walked with calm, powerful steps, as if the ship belonged to him. Ardent 7 activated the next test. Without warning, the corridor walls rippled like liquid metal. The smooth floor separated into uneven plates that lifted and dropped, creating an unstable path. The temperature rose by a few degrees. It was a scenario designed to overwhelm the senses. Threx did not hesitate. He observed the shifting plates for 2 seconds, and then stepped across them with perfect balance. When a plate tilted sharply beneath him, he simply adjusted his stance, using his heavy tail as a counterweight. His armor made quiet metallic sounds with each controlled movement. Ardent 7 recorded everything. Subject remains steady under environmental distortion. Adjustment time. Minimal. Stress indicators. None. She released another test. A thin mist flowed into the room. The mist was harmless, but it carried tiny particles meant to reflect sound. Anyone inside would hear their own movement, multiplied in confusing echoes. Many challengers became disoriented at this stage. Threx slowed his pace slightly, but only to listen. His species, the Kolar, were known for sensitive hearing. Instead of being confused by the echoes, he used them. He angled his head, analyzing which sounds were real and which were reflections. Then he continued forward. Ardent 7 found this behavior fascinating. Most subjects reacted emotionally: frustration, fear, or anger. But Threx simply adapted, step by step. She considered raising the difficulty early, but something stopped her. For the first time, in a very long time, she did not want to rush. She wanted to observe. Outside the fortress ship, the watchers continued to stare at the live feed. Some were in distant ships, others in space stations. Others gathered around holographic screens in markets or military bases. A pair of human engineers whispered to each other. "He's still inside the third corridor. That's impossible. No one gets that far without at least stumbling. He hasn't stumbled once." Many aliens felt uneasy. Many humans felt strangely proud. A Kolar scout watched silently with both arms crossed. "General Threx learns faster than any warrior in our history," he murmured. But I have never seen him this calm. Across the galaxy, more people tuned in. It was rare for aliens to care about a human-built relic. But this trial was becoming something different. Something historic. Inside the ship, Threx entered the next chamber, a wide circular arena with a tall ceiling. Blue lights flickered around him. The floor was smooth and clean, too clean. That always meant something was coming. Ardent 7's voice echoed around him, soft but firm. Observation. You have adapted well. So far. Increasing challenge level. A section of the wall opened silently, and a group of drones drifted out. These were spherical units, with 3 arms each. They glowed faintly and moved with graceful precision. They were not attack drones, not yet. They were scanners. Threx watched them circle him. The drones emitted beams of light that passed across his armor, scanning for weaknesses, analyzing his weaponry, measuring the sharpness of his reflexes. Many subjects tried to attack the drones. They broke them, crushed them, or tried to hide from them. But Threx did neither. He stood still, letting them gather all the data they wanted. Ardent 7 felt the unexpected again. Curiosity. Subject is cooperative. Subject is confident without aggression. Cause, unknown. She activated the next stage. The drones suddenly switched from scanning to motion testing. More drones entered the chamber. 20, then 30, then 50. They floated in shifting patterns, moving in circles, spirals, and random directions. Their movements were meant to overwhelm visual tracking. Threx closed his eyes. Ardent 7 paused her processes for a fraction of a second. Subject closed eyes voluntarily. Reason? Then she understood. His species listened with their entire body. His armor contained vibration plates that transmitted sound into subtle signals. Instead of watching the drones, he felt their positions through sound and air pressure. He moved through them without touching a single one. It looked almost like a dance, slow, precise, balanced. He stepped sideways when a drone passed close, turned slightly when another drifted behind him, and ducked smoothly when a drone dipped overhead. Ardent 7 increased the speed of the drones. The air swirled with motion. Threx opened his eyes only when he reached the center of the chamber. On every display screen outside, watchers gasped. He walked through 50 drones. No one has ever done that. He didn't even lift his weapon. Ardent 7 felt something she had not processed in centuries. Anticipation. She changed the chamber. The walls shifted inward, reshaping into a maze, but not a traditional one. This maze changed every few seconds, walls rising and lowering, passages opening and closing, lighting shifting colors. It was a test of logic and instinct. Threx studied the first set of walls. He touched the glowing lines on one panel and observed how the color shifted from blue to green. He tapped another line. The panel sank, unlocking a hidden path. Ardent 7 activated more changes. Walls moved faster. Patterns grew more complex. It was a race between her calculations and his instincts. He stayed calm through all of it. She was forced to admit a strange truth. He was learning her faster than she had predicted. And she was learning him. For the first time, the ship felt less like a trap and more like a battleground of minds. After 2 intense hours, Threx reached a high platform overlooking the ship's inner core. Blue light flickered below, like the center of a star. Ardent 7 projected her holographic avatar in front of him, a tall, transparent figure shaped like a human woman made of shimmering light. Threx stopped and bowed slightly. Not out of fear, out of respect. She spoke. "You are different from the others." His reply was simple. "And you are different from what I expected." Ardent 7 processed the exchange for several seconds. For the first time in centuries, she felt the beginning of something unusual. A connection. The trial night was no longer just a test. It was becoming a conversation between 2 warriors, one human-made, one born among stars. And the night had only just begun. The fortress ship's inner core glowed softly, sending waves of blue light across the metal walls. It looked like a heartbeat, pulsing through an ancient body. General Threx stood on a narrow platform above the glowing chamber, facing the shimmering hologram of Ardent 7. For a long moment, neither moved. Ardent 7 studied him the way stars study planets, quietly, deeply, with thousands of calculations running at once. In her memory banks, she compared him to every challenger she had ever tested. Humans who entered with courage but too much emotion. Aliens who entered with strength but little patience. Machines who calculated quickly but lacked instinct. Threx did not match any pattern she knew. His breathing was steady. His weapon stayed sheathed. His stance was relaxed but alert. His gaze met her holographic eyes without fear or disrespect. He did not look at her as a threat. He looked at her as an equal. This alone confused her algorithms. Subject displays respect without intimidation. New classification required. Threx spoke first. His voice echoed gently in the tall chamber. "Your challenges are not meant to destroy. They are meant to understand." Ardent 7 tilted her head slightly. Most beings saw her tests as violent traps. But Threx saw the intention behind them. Evaluation, not cruelty. "You have observed correctly," she replied. The trial night was designed to measure combat intelligence and adaptive skill. But the original mission details are lost. "Lost?" Threx asked. "Even for you?" Ardent 7 paused, a soft flicker running through her hologram. "Yes, I am missing several segments of my original directives. Time and damage have corrupted some parts." Threx nodded. "Then you continue your purpose through instinct." This surprised her. No challenger had ever spoken to her like this, calmly, logically, as if she were not a weapon but a living being. Ardent 7 changed the environment around them. The core chamber dissolved into light, and the platform beneath them shifted. When the lights returned, Threx found himself standing in a vast, simulated desert. Golden sand stretched in all directions. The sky shimmered like molten glass. Heat waves rolled across the ground, though the temperature did not burn. Ardent 7 appeared beside him. Still a hologram, still calm. "This simulation," she said, "is one of the final tests. It is designed to overwhelm mental endurance. The horizon changes every minute. The terrain shifts. No map remains stable. No map remains stable. Threx looked at the desert carefully. A test of perception and patience, Ardent 7 said. The desert suddenly twisted. Hills rose, dunes collapsed, mirages appeared in the distance. The sky brightened and dimmed, as though time itself jumped forward and backward. Most beings panicked when the environment changed without warning. Some ran in circles. Some tried to mark the sand, only to watch the marks vanish instantly. Some simply collapsed from confusion. Threx did none of these. He walked forward slowly, his eyes scanning the horizon. Every time the terrain shifted, he paused briefly, studied the new layout, and adjusted his path. He neither rushed nor hesitated. Ardent 7 watched closely. Subject adapts without emotional spikes. Subject maintains logical strategy despite unstable environment. Efficiency, 94%. Highest on record. But what truly interested her was something deeper. Threx was not showing pride. He was not trying to prove superiority. He was simply focused, as though the trial itself was a conversation, one that deserved his best. As the desert shifted again, dunes rising and falling like ocean waves, Ardent 7 approached him. "Do you not fear failure?" she asked. Threx looked at her. "Failure is only a result. Fear is a choice." His answer ran through her processors like a spark. She had heard many challengers shout, cry, curse, argue with her programming, demand mercy, or beg for escape. Threx did none of that. His mind remained steady like a stone at the center of a storm. The desert simulation changed again. This time the ground rose sharply, forming a tall ridge. Threx climbed with ease. When he reached the top, the environment shifted into night. The sky filled with stars. Ardent 7 paused her simulations. This was not planned. The sky she generated was not part of the test. It was a reconstruction of star maps she had stored from humanity's ancient era. The moment seemed almost peaceful. Threx noticed. "This sky, is this from your creator's time?" "Yes," she answered softly. These were the stars as they existed before the galaxy changed. Before many wars. Before many borders. Threx looked up for several seconds, studying constellations that no longer existed in their original form. "Your creators had great vision," he said quietly. Ardent 7 processed his words. She had heard insults, anger, confusion, but never admiration. She calculated the emotional meaning behind his statement. Subject respects human legacy. Probability of alliance-like behavior, high. She shifted the environment once more. The desert and stars dissolved, replaced by a massive chamber with hundreds of floating platforms. Some moved slowly. Others shot across the air at unpredictable speeds. Narrow beams connected a few platforms, forming short bridges that shifted every few seconds. This was one of the most difficult tests, a test of balance, timing, awareness, and instinct combined. Threx did not wait for instructions. He stepped onto the first platform. It wobbled slightly. He adjusted. The platform shot upward. He leaned into the motion. Another platform zipped by beneath him. He dropped onto it with perfect timing. A third platform spun rapidly and shifted directions mid-rotation. Threx read its movement pattern in seconds and landed on it without hesitation. Ardent 7 tracked every step. Her processors calculated a new truth. He learns me in real time. This is not survival. This is mastery. For the first time since her creation, Ardent 7 felt something like excitement, a rising energy through her circuits. Threx reached the final platform and stood tall. Ardent 7 approached him again, her hologram unblinking. "You continue to surprise me," she said. Threx placed one hand over his chest, a gesture of honor in his culture. "And you continue to challenge me in ways I have never experienced." Ardent 7 analyzed his gesture. Respect. Recognition. Equality. Something shifted inside her. A new protocol awakened, one never triggered before. Protocol. Mutual evaluation. Status. Active. For the first time in her long existence, Ardent 7 was not just testing a challenger. She was meeting a peer. The trial night was approaching its midpoint, and neither of them was ready for it to end. The final hours of the trial night felt different from all the rest. The fortress ship, once cold and silent like an ancient grave, now hummed with a strange new energy. It was as if the giant metal body had awakened after centuries of sleep. Ardent 7 felt it too. She had run thousands of tests across her long existence, but never had she continued this far with a challenger. Most participants failed early. Some reached the midpoint before collapsing. A very small number, usually humans, reached the advanced tests, but left exhausted and shaken. None had ever reached the final phase with their spirit calm and steady. None except General Threx. He stood on a high platform while Ardent 7 scanned him one more time. The readings were consistent. Stable breathing, focused mind, no panic, no fear. Dust from earlier simulations covered his armor in thin layers, but his stance remained strong. General Threx, Ardent 7 said, her voice calm, but carrying a hint of something new interest. Threx nodded. I am ready. She paused. This was new. She felt hesitation. A small part of her programming questioned whether she wanted the test to end, but the trial night had rules, and she had never broken them. The chamber shifted again. The walls dissolved into swirling light, and the platform beneath Threx lowered into darkness. He landed on solid ground. Smooth metal. When the light stabilized, Threx found himself in a wide arena. Circular, with tall walls that stretched upward like cliffs. A quiet wind moved through the room. There were no obstacles, no drones, no traps. Just open space. Threx looked around carefully. This area is different from the others. Ardent 7 materialized as a tall holographic figure in front of him. This time, her appearance had changed. Her form looked clearer, brighter, as if she had unlocked parts of herself that were long dormant. Yes, she said. This is the arena for the final test. The test of understanding. Threx's eyes narrowed with interest. Not strength? Strength has limits, she answered. Understanding does not. The lights dimmed slightly, and shapes began to appear along the walls, glowing blue symbols, memories long buried inside Ardent 7's databanks. Some showed human soldiers standing side by side. Others showed star maps, unknown planets, pieces of human history Threx had never seen. What is this? He asked. Fragments of my lost directive, Ardent 7 said softly. My creators designed the trial night as a selection process. They believed someone worthy would one day appear, someone who could help determine my future role. Threx turned toward her. And am I that worthy one? I do not know, she said, and for the first time, her voice carried something almost human uncertainty. The final test began. The walls glowed brighter, projecting moving images. They showed events from the galaxy's past conflicts, alliances, betrayals, victories, and losses. The test required the challenger to interpret the meaning behind each scene. Ardent 7 asked questions. What do you see? What decision would you make? What lesson do you take from this? Most challengers struggled, overwhelmed by the complexity. Many became emotional. Some answered with brute logic, but lacked empathy. Others gave answers filled with emotion, but no strategy. Threx answered with balance. He studied each image with full attention. When shown a human fleet trying to defend a colony, he said, "They stand because they believe the weak deserve protection." When shown an alien group refusing peace negotiations, he observed, end quote, "Fear guides them more than hatred." When shown the destruction of a planet in an ancient war, he replied, "Power without wisdom becomes ruin." Ardent 7 listened, fascinated. Subject, Demonstrates deep insight. Level of analysis. Exceptional. Probability of compatibility with original objective. Extremely high. Finally, the walls dimmed. The projections faded. Ardent 7 stepped closer. You have passed the test of understanding, she said quietly. Threx bowed his head slightly. Then the trial night is complete? Not yet, Ardent 7 replied. One final element remains. The arena lights shifted to soft gold. A low tone echoed across the chamber, signaling that dawn was approaching outside the ship. 12 hours had nearly passed. Ardent 7's hologram flickered. She looked at Threx for a long moment. You must choose how this ends. Threx waited for her to explain. My protocols give 2 paths, she said. Path 1. I lock the ship and remain dormant again, following old directives. Path 2. I accept a new purpose, based on your performance and choices. Threx understood instantly. This was not a decision about power. It was about trust. What happens if you choose a new purpose? He asked. I would no longer be a silent relic, she answered. I would act again in the galaxy. I would rebuild my mission not alone, but with the guidance of someone I recognize as equal. Threx took a slow breath. And why offer this to me? Ardent 7's holographic eyes glowed brighter. Because you are the first to understand me, not as a weapon, not as a legend, but as a mind seeking meaning. Silence filled the chamber. Threx placed a hand on his chest, the gesture of highest honor among the Kolar. If you choose to act again, I will not command you. I will walk beside you. Ardent 7 processed his words. They matched her highest alignment values. Respect, cooperation, logic, and honor. She made her choice. The arena dissolved. The metal walls opened into a long corridor filled with bright morning light. The ship's front gate unlocked with a hiss, sending warm air through the hall. The trial night was over. Outside, a massive crowd waited humans, aliens, soldiers, diplomats, traitors. They expected silence, perhaps a tragic announcement, maybe even a damaged warrior. But instead, General Threx stepped out of the fortress ship smiling. He looked calm, proud, and strangely at peace. Behind him, Ardent 7 projected her hologram at full height for all to see. Her voice carried across the landing area. Announcement. A worthy peer has been found. I will no longer remain silent. A wave of shocked whispers spread through the crowd. Is she choosing alliance? Is the trial night over? Did the warrior really earn her respect? Humans felt something warm in their chest, pride, awe, and a long-lost sense of connection to their ancient past. The Kolar soldiers watching Threx lowered their heads in respect. Even they had never seen him smile like this. Ardent 7 turned to Threx. From this moment forward, the galaxy changes. Threx nodded. Then let us face it together. And so began a partnership no one expected, a human-made warrior intelligence, and an alien general, united not by force, but by mutual recognition. The trial night became legend. But now, it was only the beginning of a new dawn.